should do this and should do that and should do this. And then I was always in a guilt or a shame position. I didn't even feel compassion for myself. So how could I feel compassion for you? The best time to start is now on that piece. And then the last one is connection. Imagine if you start living from a new ground of being, which you have the power to control. You can't shut that down after you have millions and you don't need to work anymore. What's in the way is the way.
All right, everybody, welcome back to Scar Tissue. I have a very special guest here today, Gary Kadi, who came into my life through a mutual connection. And I think that really speaks to the power of building relationships that are going to be 1 degree apart from just quality people, 2 degrees apart. And so, as we ground into opening this episode, before I introduce him, immediate action teacher step in me. Think about who you're surrounding yourself with, because it will make all the difference in your life. And for me, Gary came originally looking for support around copywriting and this mission that he was launching to really fulfill this purpose that he stepped into. And from there, we've kind of just grown and grown and grown our work that we do. But what I love about Gary is not only is he a brilliant entrepreneur who has absolutely mastered the art of scaling and selling your business while also enjoying yourself and having fun, right? Scale, sell, smile. He's an incredible family man. He's just an incredible human who cares so deeply. And so when I partner with somebody at the level in which I've partnered with Gary, it really is a reflection of who they be and how they show up. What Gary has learned is life-changing. So you're going to want to get your notebooks. And truthfully, the journey that he's on is completely heart-led. He doesn't need to be doing the work that he's doing. He just knows it will change lives. And people like that are rare. So, Gary, welcome to the show.
Oh, I should have been here, 10 years ago, because I know we got the shoulds going on. And, I used to should on myself all the time. I would should on myself all the time. Should do this and should do that and should do this. And then I was always in a guilt or a shame position, which is not empowering. And I didn't know I was even in it. It was insane. Yeah, I'm so grateful to be here, Melissa. I
We're
mean,
so glad you're here.
thank you for the incredible introduction. It's wild to hear the experience that somebody has of you, and I'm so grateful that our paths have crossed and we have this opportunity to share and connect.
Yeah, me too. Now, Gary's going to have so much wisdom, particularly for those of you who want to strengthen your relationships. But really, I think everything is energy, Gary. And so the things that you're going to teach around relationships will apply to relationship with self,
Yeah,
right? Health,
yeah,
business, whatever you're doing. So this is going to be universally applicable.
yeah.
But you mentioned the word should, and that you used
Mm.
to should on yourself all the time. Now, that is a big premise of my book, Scar Tissue,
Mhm.
where I learned after my daughter laid and died, when I was walking around like this should not have happened. But the
Mhm.
reality is that it did.
Yeah,
And so I'm in resistance to the reality
yeah,
or comparing to an invisible checklist that I thought was supposed to be life. Well,
yeah,
no, this isn't how it goes. This is what you do. You have the relationship, you have the baby, you have the job. You know what I mean? And
yeah.
like, I was like, well, this shouldn't have happened. And so talk to us about your experience with that and how that's impacted your life.
Oh my goodness. Well, first of all, I get moved when I hear you talk about your daughter. Whoo, whoo, it runs deep to me, Mel. Like, oh my goodness. I can't imagine what it feels like. And by the way, this is the beginning of it. I didn't even feel compassion for myself. So how could I feel compassion for you? Like if
Mhm.
you find yourself like not being able to express some form of emotion, always look inside self first. The thing I've learned is all of our answers are inside us, not out here. And that pivot of looking inside, which is sometimes scary, was a big turning point for experiencing life, because I was grinding it out. I mean, I was working 24/7, 365. That's what my wife used to call me. Hey, Mr. 24/7, 365. How you doing today? Like I'm over here. Like,
Yeah.
hello. Like, here you are. Like, you're talking about your daughter, you're talking about a relationship. Like, there's all those other things that we entrepreneurs have. But really, the first place to look, if you're about looking to shift your experience and your fulfillment and your meaning and your connection and your wealth, go inside. Most of us want to go outside. And that was step one for me in the transformation, you know? So this idea of shoulding was like externally driven by some outside factor that I thought I should do to validate who I was.
Mhm.
This is a pretty powerful distinction here.
Well, I mean, I think the word validate right there,
Hmm.
right? If I have these things or check these boxes,
Yep.
then I am worthy.
Exactly.
And I think it's the doing versus the being,
Yeah.
right? What am I doing versus who am I being?
Yeah, exactly. And we don't look at the beingness. You know, there's three elements of living: being, doing, and having. Most of us as entrepreneurs, especially, focus in on having results,
Mhm.
outcomes defined by these things. And then we do what we do, and then we're going to be happy. It's all backwards.
Mhm.
Beingness can be generated from us, from within, on a regular,
Mhm.
and we could be at cause in the matter and do what we love to do, and then you have what you want to have. See, most of
Mhm.
us want to have it first, then we're going to do more of whatever it is, and then we're going to be happy. You can never get there. That's the someday when never. And that
Mhm.
equation is backwards. When you flip the script of being plus doing, you have. If I'm angry and in scarcity, and that's my being, and I
Mhm.
go sell my doing, I'm not gonna have anything.
Right. 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 And, I think what's so interesting about that, what I can relate to is when Layden passed away, it was as though, who am I now?
Yeah.
And I think that's very common. I speak, in my book, I talk a lot about grief and even empty nest and whatever it may be. But even as a mother, who we be extends beyond that,
Yeah.
right? Versus then what we do. I mean, I actually still embody a very maternal energy that I
Oh,
think, yeah,
you
I got the
think?
mama energy.
You think you take care of me in my business like the best mom I could ever have. Like, no kidding. Like,
Thank
you are
you.
just that. And
Yeah.
it's not because of like this angel we
Mhm.
lost physically, but is there present in a spiritual sense, and then you embody this mom energy that, my spiritual mom taught me this. She goes, "Look, I have no kids, and I have no man, but I have a ton of romance, and I have a ton of kids walking around that she's influenced."
Mm,
So it's
so
this
beautiful.
definition that
Mhm.
boxes us in, and then the picture we think we need to have, but it may not look exactly like that in the world of worlds.
100%. I want to wrap this thought because I think it was really beautiful, but I want to bring it back to something that you've shared with me before. But just to kind of wrap that in the doing and the being, what I discovered was that me being in my maternal energy
Hmm.
did not mean that I was doing the things that I thought I should do. Like I should be taking my daughter here. I should be that. So I encourage anyone to listen, like,
Yeah.
what is it that you're doing that you're trying to tap into? Now, would I prefer to have her here? Of course.
Yeah.
But am I still able to tap into that maternal energy and let people feel that like, radiance, right? And sometimes even stronger when it's beyond the surface level, you know?
Yeah.
But you've shared your career. Let's get like, you can give us the elevator
Mhm.
pitch version of kind of, your career when you were in that life of should,
Yeah.
on paper, wildly successful,
Yep.
working 24/7, 365, as your wife
Yep.
nicknamed you. And all of a sudden you looked around and you're like, what the fuck? So talk to us about that, because I think
Yeah.
a lot of people relate to that moment.
I was walking around dead or numbed out. Let's put it that way. I was definitely numbed out. My story, I'll give you the whole arc of it. When I was 8, I started working at 8 because I was running from the trauma of my house. So it was a very unsafe space on mental, physical, spiritual, social, everything, like very scary. So I found entrepreneurship. My grandfather and uncle had a business. We back in the day, we stretched glass Coke bottles and then sold them at like novelty stores and stuff. And my uncle invented that machine, and it was real wildly popular in the '70s. It was ridiculous, and I just worked since I was 8 years old. And I found that money meant freedom, and working, I could define myself as the results I produced.
Mm.
So it wasn't who I was, it was
Mm-hmm.
this external validation outside
Mm-hmm.
of myself. Like, he's a hardworking kid, he is smart, he'll do what it takes, and he's an asset. So I felt like that's where I got my validation from. But here's the problem: you can't shut that down after
Mm-hmm.
you have millions and you don't need to work anymore. The
Yeah.
machinery still goes on, Melissa.
Mm.
And that creates a problem when I got married and my wife's like, hello, um, I'm over here. I gained 50 pounds. I'm 50 pounds lighter.
You
But
did, not your wife.
yeah, I did. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
My
I just want to
wife
make sure
lost.
that's clear. Yeah.
Sorry. Yeah. Thank you. My son, when we had my son, he was fine. Then he was diagnosed with autism. So here my son is. I had this picture of what he was going to be like, and he wasn't like that. And my
Mm-hmm.
wife kept saying, read to him. He's in there. He'd be flapping his arms. He wouldn't look at me. He would like be
Mm.
stimmed out. Not there, Mel. And I'm bringing all this in because being an entrepreneur is about, in my opinion, how to have it all and run a business. I was head down running a business on the road 40 weeks a year, speaking on stages. And I had a consulting firm that consulted. I invented a business model that we installed into dental practices, and we did 6,000 of those across the US. And at the end of my career, we rolled them up and sold them to private equity firms. So right now, we're in an $800 million deal, of which I have a bunch of practices in that place there. And now,
No big deal.
yeah, so this is the kind of stuff that a street kid from Jersey who's an overachiever with head down
Mm-hmm.
and kept selling out. One of the things I talk to is my fellow CEOs, and I go, when did you make the conscious choice to sell out on like being there for your kids, birthdays and baseball games and stuff?
Mm.
And every single one of my colleagues said the same thing. We
What was that?
never chose it. It just kept evolving because the
Yeah.
machinery told us more is better, more is better, more is better, more is better, and that we would keep driven by it. And then I started out as a coach, then I started as an entrepreneur, didn't know how to do it. I failed. I lost $880,000 when I was 24 years old.
Wow.
And here's why. I personally guaranteed everything because I was a machine at making money. But then when I tried to scale without understanding the mechanics of a business, the 7 divisions of business, which we've talked a lot
Yeah, yeah,
about,
yeah.
and we can get into that today if you want, if it's appropriate. But I only knew 2. I was good at sales and marketing, right?
Mm. Yep.
But I wasn't good at executive, administrative,
Fulfillment.
production,
Yeah.
fulfillment, quality assurance, promise delivery, none of that. And then business crashed, and then I owed that money. And
Mm.
then that was the turning point for my career where I learned how to run an entire business. I'm probably going long here, but I wanted
You're
to give
good.
you the entire arc of it all. And now I sold, and now I have decided to give back to couples who want to have a life now while they're building their empire,
Mm.
because that I couldn't find a place, but I've amassed all my mentors and packaged it and offer that as a mastermind and a live event.
It's so powerful. And I think that is, one of the best decisions I believe anybody can make is to learn from people who have gone through things or accomplished things you want to accomplish. Learn the lessons in a way in which you're not completely face planting or losing $880,000. Right? I think it's not uncommonly heard, but it collapses time.
Yeah,
And so often we avoid doing the thing, putting the time, putting the money to what's actually going to get us to the next level, but we actually spend so much more time and money trying to guess, like
yeah,
blindly navigate. It's like
right,
driving a car with no actual map as to where you're going, you know?
exactly,
You're like, hope I get
exactly.
there. So at this point in time, you shared, and you're open about it, and I appreciate that, but you shared that your marriage was not in the place that you would want it to be. And you were kind of at a choice point. I'll let you elaborate as much or little as you don't want. But I think this is
Hmm.
very important because, look, I attract entrepreneurs. You said to me, like, Melly, the way you work, and I get this on like every podcast. Now, for me, it really does feel like work-life integration, a little bit different because my closest relationships, we all work together,
Right.
you know. And so I think it's evolved into a different lifestyle a bit, Gary, in the last like decade
Yep.
probably when you were going through this, maybe in the last 2 decades, and especially anyways. So it's changed a bit. So I don't necessarily feel where I have to kind of find that click point, but I know a lot of people do
Yep.
and
Yeah.
struggle with feeling like how to pick or at that place where something is suffering. So, anyways, can you speak into that?
Yeah, like look, you're going to be dealt circumstances in your business and in your personal life. For me, it was my son was diagnosed with autism, and then my wife came to me, Melly, and she goes, "My nickname's Party Fresh, by the way. If you add a little
I don't
alcohol to
think
this,
I knew that.
all right, I gotta let you know. I'm my nickname is Party Fresh, right? So you add a little alcohol to me, I got like the whole place pants and boots and pants and boots and pants and boots. Like we're throwing down, right? Yeah, yeah, no, we're throwing down. And so my wife comes to me, and I hit bottom because I was supposed to deliver this incredible inspirational speech at our Christmas party to my entire team, and I said this was the worst effing uh, time of my life. Things are going to change, heads are going to roll. She's pinching me under the table with her nails into my thigh. And I was drunk, and she stands over me the next day, and I'm like not wanting to open my eye, but I knew she's standing there. I feel her, and she goes, "Look, that'll be the last time I'm doing this. We're going to be moving back from Arizona to New York. We're going to get this kid healthy. If you want to come with me, I'm not going to be drinking like this anymore. If you want to come, don't bring your drinking with us." Like, she didn't tell me how to quit. She just
Mhm.
made a stand for our son. And little did I know, for me, and that day, since that day, I'm 17 years sober.
Oh,
Yeah, my son is off the autism spectrum. He's was speech delayed. He's now going to be a sports broadcaster. He's at the Walter Cronkite School of Sports Journalism. He's already calling NCAA sports, and none of this would have happened if my wife didn't make a stand for busting the automaticity that we entrepreneurs have, and then the numbingness, workaholism, alcoholism, autism, all those isms are numbing distractions. We don't realize we're numbing ourselves. And then
yeah.
here's what happens. I'm 62. That was 40 years ago when I got that lesson. 30 turns into 40, 40 into 50,
Yeah.
50 into 60. You don't feel the pain till it's late, and then you see the loss of your family members. In your case, you didn't have a choice, it just happened. But I had some choices to make, and those are all gifts. We don't realize they're gifts, but they're gifts.
They absolutely are gifts. I mean, that's a chapter in my book, Hidden Opportunities from Our Challenges, because
Yeah.
they're all right there. And I think a lot of times people, and I want to honor you, like a lot of times people miss the opportunities because they're so focused on what went wrong
Mm-hmm.
that they miss actually what's available to learn to grow. But,
Yeah.
and also just a shout out to your wife, and
Yeah.
just that embodiment of the divine feminine where she's not forcing.
No,
There's no ultimatum. She's just
never.
holding the line and she's holding in the greatness. And like that is like the divine feminine right there,
We
like
need
that
that. Men,
eternal core.
especially. I'm sorry for stepping on you there,
No,
sister.
you go.
Pardon me. We men need that. We
Yeah.
can't see the future. That's why I always say we like boobs, because they're right there. Right? I go, we like boobs because they're
I
just
can't
right
with
there. Like, we're just like right whatever's in front of us as guys. Women have a visual future. They know white picket fence. Like my wife, I'm in Cape Cod right now, not far from you, right?
Oh
My
yeah.
wife my wife goes, I want a historic home near a beach. She's very clear. And then here we are. It shows up. So women are very visionary. Men are more in the present time.
100%. Yeah, the more I've learned to work with like my intuition, and just that grounded energy, it's so powerful. Now, through all this, okay, you said there were gifts, and a lot of those gifts were about building relationship, which extends beyond just your marriage, what you've learned.
Yeah.
Now, I'm super excited because I'm going to be joining you at your event in Arizona in December. So, you guys listening, stay tuned for that. Check the show notes for that. We'll talk about that more in a bit. But Gary has assembled an entire board of mentors and game changers to help you elevate your relationships, which I'm
Yeah.
so thrilled and honored to be a part of. But what
Yeah.
were maybe three, Gary, three lessons that you learned? Just like we don't have to solve the whole thing. People can come to the event if they want the deep transformation. But just to give a little bit of like maybe they don't people someone listening doesn't even know what they don't know. So
Yep.
what's like three little things that you picked up through this kind of like almost rock bottom moment, we'll call it.
Yeah. Health, wealth, and connection are my three right there.
Okay.
Right. What I found, Melly, is this. I, I was like, I'm going to get healthy when I retire.
Mm,
Right. I'm, I'm an entrepreneur. I know how to make money, but I don't know how to have my money make money. Right.
mm,
That's a whole job that
mm-hmm.
I was dabbling in, like air traffic controlling and trying to pull all these people together. But that was a huge problem. And I'll get to that when I retire, but you can't retire if you don't start when you should start, which is I started
Right.
when I was 35. Thank God, because it was amazing, but if you don't, it's like the best time to start is now on that piece. And then the last one is connection. Like
Mhm.
I thought if I acknowledged my wife and bought her Gucci shoes and took her on lavish trips, I was connected.
Mm.
It was like this in and out connection, right? Like, we're going to Positano, honey. Isn't that great? I told you how beautiful you were today. Isn't that great? She's
I
like,
just want to pause right there though, Gary, and like let that land for the listener.
yeah, thanks. Yeah.
Because how many, and you're such a wrecking ball. I love it. Gary goes 198 miles an hour. He's just the best. But no, we get to let that land because how many people might even hear that and be like, well, you got her the Gucci bag, you took her on vacation. Like that is connection. And and similarly to what we were saying about the being versus the doing, those gifts, it's the surface level, it's the doing. What are you
Yeah.
handing? What's
Ex-
physically tangible, but the being is what's underneath
Yeah.
and how, like, who are we being in it? So continue.
Yeah. What's nuts is like, we are like teenage, like you talked about empty nesting earlier, and we call it empty questing because we're on a quest for connection. And
Mm,
it wasn't until we shifted our relationship to that, because you can look at that two ways. Like, my son's at school in Arizona State, like, we lost him. Or we can say, this is empty questing. How do we stay connected? Because
mm.
connected wasn't even a distinction for us.
That's beautiful.
It wasn't even a distinction. So when I
Mhm,
say health, wealth, and connection, and here's the other thing you said about integration.
mhm,
If those three things aren't working, in like lifestyle, if they're not built so that you can default and walk into it, then you're like me. I would be like, I gotta stop eating donuts today. I'm gonna go work out. It was like a doing. Even that becomes, you're talking about being and doing, that becomes a doing. Imagine waking up and, because you gave your body a time to reset. Sachin Patel is my mentor on this. I lost 48 pounds 3 years ago and never gained it back, ever. I had my birthday past week, pizza, burgers, ice cream, cake. I was afraid to get on a scale just because mentally I felt fat. I was down a pound,
wow.
because it's our lifestyle. Like, now we reset our metabolism, and I didn't
Yep.
know that. Like, that simple thing, reset your metabolism, learn how to eat whole foods. Most of the time you could eat them 75% of the time, and then you get free reign 25%. It's like, I have a full life and I'm 178. But not only that, I have the energy, I have the clarity. See, health gets into your business. If you're not clear, if I'm drinking and I'm
Mhm.
eating the wrong foods and I'm not sleeping, see, you know what I used to say, Mel? I'll sleep when I die.
Oh,
Like,
I hear that all the time.
I'll sleep.
Hear
No,
that all the
I
time.
don't have to worry about sleeping. No, right
Mm,
now, I treat ourselves as Olympic athletes, as if we're entrepreneurs, we're Olympic athletes. All those pieces, but lifestyle. You set the lifestyle up so it runs on automatic. Health, wealth, same thing. Jim Dew is my wealth advisor. He created the virtual family office, billionaire strategies for millionaires. He's at the center of it. I get a report once a month. That's the way you deal with your wealth. I get a
mhm.
report up to me with the strategy. You know how you and I built our marketing strategy, and then we do
Yep.
check-ins.
Yep.
Imagine your wealth wheel like that, where
Mhm.
everybody's talking to everybody, and it's not you, it's them. They quarterback it and execute my strategy, and I get the report on the stats every month. It's heaven,
So,
right? And
so
then the
powerful.
connection piece. My wife and I are like friggin' 25 years old now, like with cash and wisdom. We have
I
cash,
love that.
we have cash and wisdom, and we're like 25-year-olds prancing around the world having the time of our lives. More connected than we first met.
I can vouch for that because when you were spending your full summer in the Cape and we'd get on, like, you would just hop on Zoom, like you're at the beach, you're doing your thing, you're the happiest guy in the whole world, you're calling out your beautiful wife, and I was just like, this is good vibes. And you can tell when somebody's faking it. And you
Yeah.
can tell when somebody's embodied it, and you guys have embodied it. So, health, wealth, connection
Yep.
were now in my book. So, the podcast is Scar Tissue, which is
Right.
really, it's interesting because obviously I do marketing and I do, all the sales funnels and sales conversion. But truthfully, my entrepreneurial journey was ignited from my loss and the pain. So we talk about like gold and the glimmers of gold in the scars and in the wounds, right? So
Mhm.
you found the health, wealth, and connection. So what advice would you have for someone who doesn't feel connected?
Well, I can give you the deep dive access to it. Let me do that. I'm gonna
Oh
do it. All right.
yeah.
I'm gonna do.
If I start doing this, we're over time. No, I'm
No.
just
I'm gonna.
kidding.
It'll be 2 seconds. Here's the
I'm
question:
kidding.
what did you get that you didn't want, and what did you want that you didn't get?
Oh, whew. Can you repeat that, please?
Yes. You're gonna write to your mom and to your dad. Mom, what I got that I didn't want was,
Oof.
and mom, what I wanted that I didn't get was this. That's
Mm.
the root of all searching, seeking, boom, boom, boom. It is
Wow.
rooted in how you because here's what happens as in our development. There's no language, then there's language. The minute there's language, there's meaning. You place meaning on something that you either got or didn't get and manifest that out to the rest of your life.
Whew. Okay, bye everyone. See you in the
Good
next episode.
night. Good night, everybody.
Oh, it's so true. And I think we learn, like, we're shown the lessons until we learn them, you know?
Pema
And
Chadrome, my favorite
yeah,
quote.
yeah, go ahead.
The
Yeah,
problem doesn't go away until you get the lesson.
100%. And I was shown it and shown it and shown it. And then sometimes it's like, well, I learned it 40%. Okay, now I learned it 60%. And so just a reminder to anyone listening, like, just keep going.
I call them dust bunnies.
Yeah.
I call them the dust bunny factor. You
Hmm.
vacuum your whole floor, but it's the lessons are when the little dust bunnies in the corner that you haven't sucked up from the vacuum because you can't get in the corner yet.
Oh, that is good. I'm going to use that one, Gary. I'll credit you.
Good.
Don't worry. Okay, so massive business, massive exit, done all this. You've learned the lessons, you've done the work, and now all of a sudden you're like, hey, I'm going to launch a business where I change lives in a whole different way. You don't have to be doing this. You could be out on the beach right now, right?
It's
Um,
raining.
yeah, you get well. Still, I have a feeling you'd be here regardless. Can you speak to, especially you've got this upcoming event, you have a mastermind that is going to be launching soon.
Well,
You've got this upcoming event, which I think is going to be incredibly transformative for anybody who is able to attend. Now, important to note that at this time, Gary has sold out. He is adding some spots. I don't know when this will air, but we have added a few spots from the initial sold out. So
yeah.
check the show notes, or you guys just send me a DM on Instagram if, coming to this with your partner, your significant other, whether you're married or dating, doesn't have to be marriage, right? Is going to serve you and to help you find the health, the wealth, and the connection in a deep way where you don't no longer see, Gucci bags or plane rides as the connection, but you have something that is with you at all times so that you can feel in your 60s like you're 25, but even more connected. So, Gary, what can somebody expect if they're going to attend this?
Well, it's like you've been using being and doing. So it's beyond doing, it's into being as a couple. And the work we do is first you go into the self because you can't give away something that you don't have over here. So the work we do first is over here. And it's really powerful because by the way, everybody tries to search for what they want: security, safety, wealth, acknowledgement, significance, all those things outside. Once you get it on the inside, you don't need it on the outside anymore. It's the wildest, coolest thing. So when you
Mhm.
bring nothingness into it, a blank slate to your relationship, and your partner brings a blank slate. By the way, we do have some people that are not even in relationship. They're bringing their next person in their business to develop
Mm.
that
You know,
relationship.
those relationships can be hard because you got multiple layers.
Exactly. But here's what I found.
Tell
I
me.
developed my relationship at work. And then because I learned how to treat people at work,
Yep.
I learned how to be in a relationship. So
Oh, yeah.
first it's really starting out with whatever you're going to put at stake. So whether it's clarity, connection, a new freedom forward, you're going to uncover it here because it's what you're going to bring into the exercises, the interactions. And how I facilitate this is you don't have to talk if you don't want to. You could just be observing. And it's a really powerful, safe, sacred space where there's going to be 15 couples there. These couples range from like, a woman who's owns a really good restaurant in Vegas, for instance, and her partner. Another couple who is this guy he set out to transverse Antarctica and his wife, and he coaches on fear. His work is on fear. Hers is on relationships. So they're in the course. So it's like it's an eclectic group of people, but very like-minded, big forward thinking, but also humble and willing to be transparent. You could just sit there and not say anything and get the course, right? Because of how I deliver it. The biggest thing people take away from this course, I've been doing it for 20 years in different contexts, but it's the first time to do it general entrepreneurs, is that whatever you put at stake, whether it's clarity, connection, a new way forward, you're going to locate it for yourself through the exercises with yourself, the exercises with your partner, and demonstrations and exercises that are happening from you're going to be there. My
Mm.
my
Yeah.
which I'm so crazy excited about.
Me
My
too.
Sachin Patel, who taught me how to have health as a lifestyle. Jim Dew and his wife Mimi, Sachin and Deep are going to be there, husband and wife. Jim Dew and his wife are going to be there, and they have the virtual family office. And then Dave Adamusco and his wife Christy are going to be there, and he basically saved my marriage. So he was the
Mm.
one who came in, swooped in when everything was ready to blow up. I was about ready to get Judas was going to give me my walking papers, and everything changed. And it was
Mm.
like at a breaking point. And here's the thing, Mel, what's in the way is the way.
Mm. I love that. Such a beautiful thing. And I think it takes a lot of courage. And I think what's very important. And if you don't know the speakers, you guys look them up or check out the website. No worries about that. But I think the important thing is that there is like a board, an assembly to support you in a real deep, meaningful way. And
Yeah.
Gary could have focused, and I can tell you because I've worked behind the scenes with him, Gary could have focused on kind of almost that ego metric of like, let's pack as many people in as we can. And it was no, how do we curate something that is going to make such a difference? And I'm so excited to be a part of it. But what's in the way is the way. I love that. You're just dropping bombs. We got to put all these on tank tops.
Well, we got to tell him now why we
Yeah,
said that.
I know. Gary,
All
go
right.
ahead, Gary. What's our favorite day of the week?
All right, favorite day of the week is Tank Top Tuesday. I coined Tank Top Tuesday, right? So, I didn't wear a tank top for you today.
It's
I left it
Wednesday.
out. It's Wednesday, but hey, I mean, you're looking good in your Tank Top Tuesday. Every day is Tank Top Tuesday for you.
It
Every
is.
day.
When you live in Tulum, it's also a little toasty.
There you go.
But yes, Tank Top Tuesday is a way of being.
It is. And we
Yeah,
get shit done on Tank Top
we get it
Tuesdays.
done. It's so fun. So yeah, we're gonna put that on tank top. But I just want to really say that it takes a lot of courage to actually choose into saying, maybe this isn't about to blow up. Maybe like your marriage or your relationship or your business partnership isn't like in the shitter. Maybe in a 1 to 10, it's a 4 or 5 or 6. What would it
Yeah.
look like if that 6 was a 9? What would it look like if
Yeah.
that 6 was a 10?
Yeah.
What would it look like if that 8 was a 12?
Yeah.
And I think that is actually where the courage and the power lies
Yeah.
in knowing there's no finish line to growth.
Exactly. Exactly.
And
And the number
so,
one thing,
yeah.
I'm sorry for interrupting. Go ahead.
No, no, no. I was gonna kind of close out with that and then see, you know, what you want to leave them with as they're sitting and kind of marinating in and digesting all of the gold you just brought. And thank you so much for being on here. But what I want to just land before I kind of let you give some closing thoughts, Gary, is that the courage is in knowing there's no finish line. And if you
Mhm.
can see everything as a teacher around you, your partner, your spouse, your business partner, your grief, your divorce, your business, my business grows me every damn day.
Yep.
Every damn day, it requires me to be a sharper version of me, or we don't grow.
Yep.
And so I just want to celebrate you for creating a space, Gary, where people can do this deep work and the listener and anyone who is doing that work because it takes courage and it is a choice. So, Gary, what do you got? Take us home.
We spend 99% of our lives in survival and
Mm,
looking good for fear of looking bad.
yeah.
Let that settle in. I've covered a lot of ground today with you, but 99% of our life, and I've seen it, I lived it, is in survival. Imagine if you start living from a new ground of being, which you have the power to control. It's within you already. And you can spend less time on external things and more time on the things that light you up, like a Christmas tree on Christmas morning. And the
Yeah.
gifts that are underneath that are
Mm,
available to us the minute we choose. And
mm,
it's not someday. And here's why. Because it's not out there. It's already within us. And we have just covered some things up. I'll leave you with this visual. I love that. I love Michelangelo. I love Italy. I go to Italy every year. And my
mhm.
favorite thing is the David. And I
Mm.
love this concept of the David. You've been to Florence, right?
Oh yeah, I studied abroad there.
Okay, so you get it.
Yeah.
You look at that David, and I'm like, how the heck did he sculpt that? You know what? And there's this parable that talks about that Michelangelo took away the parts of the David that weren't the David, and the David
Mm.
emerged.
It's so good. I knew you were going to be going there with that story, and I'm so happy. It is one of the most powerful stories. And one other addition to that, Gary, is that what I read, you can correct me if I'm wrong, is that he didn't have, and it works together, he didn't have a map or like a step one, chisel here. He
Mhm.
had to like feel into it and look at it and pay attention and listen, and it unveiled, to your
E-
point. And we're
Exactly.
such control freaks who want everything to be the way we think it, we'll take it full circle, should.
Exactly. And once, look at the beautiful smile you have on your face. This is a woman that could keep telling the story about your daughter and that experience and living that out every day through that filter.
Mhm.
Or you can write it and reframe it in a way like you did and hold it that allows for her to live on and for
Mhm.
you to live in the world and use her grace as
Mhm.
your fuel to make a
Mhm.
difference in the world.
Thank you so much. I'm honored to be standing side by side as we both pursue our missions like little maniacs. Gary, thank you so much. You guys check the show notes for info on this retreat that is coming up in December. I will be there. Gary will be there. Where else can they find you and connect with you, Gary?
Oh, they can go to GaryKadi.com. They can check me
Gary
out
Kadi.
there. They can check me out there.
GaryKadi.com.
They
We
got the
got growing a little presence on Instagram, on
yeah,
Facebook as well.
yep.
Um, and you guys, thank you so much for tuning in. I hope this served you massively. Listen again because there was some gold that we're gonna have to come out with the tank top line, Gary.
I'm ready. I'm good to
Uh,
go. All right.
Gary, thank you so much.
My pleasure. Thanks, everyone.